Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 44th episode of Concerned Dabs podcast. I'm your host, Katie M. Kane. Our guest tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is Josh Mossberg Galbraith.
Hey
Josh,
everybody.
you're with us. All right. He can hear us.
I can
Everything's
hear you, man. I'm here.
everything's cool. We're glad to have you back. We had you on our very first episode, dude.
Very
So it's
first
awesome.
one. That's right. That's right. That was fun.
Yeah, dude. So I'm very
44 of them now. Is that right?
Yeah,
44?
yeah, man. We're closing in on a year, bro. We're closing
Wow.
in. If you know
That's
anybody who
great.
wants to do any kind of promo for their business, tell them to hit us up, man. Like we're
Absolutely.
always trying to talk
Yeah,
to folks.
I'm sure. I'm
So,
sure there's quite a bit of that needing to be done in the industry right
well,
now. So
dude, yeah, man. I mean, and it's free. You know what I mean? It's not like we have a huge following, but we're getting out there and we're pushing and we're consistently putting out new content every week. So,
perfect, man. You guys are doing a great job grinding at it for sure.
yeah, man. The more folks we can get to talk about their job, the more fun it is to keep making it. Like I can do episodes by myself. It's like it's more fun to talk to folks about nugs. You know, like
Nugs
it
are
just
fun. Nugs are
yeah,
definitely fun.
yeah, dude.
Yeah, man.
So
Go ahead.
okay, so the last time that we talked to you, you were working for Kaya Shack, and
I
since
was.
then, I saw you left that position. You're my friend on Facebook, and I was like, no way. And
I
it looked
know,
like
right?
I was like, I was like, oh man, what's he gonna? And it's like you did the hemp farm thing, man. Can you talk about leaving
Well,
that job? And because that's a leap of faith, I was like, that seemed to me
huge.
like a pretty good position.
Oh, huge leap of faith,
You,
and
you know,
you never know if you did the right thing necessarily right away, right?
Y-
Sometimes it's always a little bit cloudy, but I mean, yeah, I was kind of in a pretty nice position there with Kaya as the VP of cultivation. I put in about 3.5 years, 4 years building that business up pretty well with their grow operations, and got them kind of in this overseas positioning in Israel and Greece that looks like they're moving with some of the
tight,
SOPs and propositions that we wrote up while I was there. So
tight,
I was
tight.
pretty happy with that. Um, so anyway, so along comes the farm bill, and yeah, the national legalization of hemp, and everybody we just like, oh my gosh, here we are, and we pushed along for something like this. So I mean, I kind of got entrepreneurial again a little bit. Decided to head out my own direction. Kaya Shack was really great. I had a great time there, and a little bit of gathering it together. I just decided let's do this and let's do it in a big way and take the next step in the journey. So I decided to scale my my knowledge up into a little larger production, and we did that this year in Oregon. With a
Yeah,
lot of the
dude.
challenges that came forth, it was a very, very challenging year.
Yeah.
Still
Well,
kind of challenging,
I heard it
but
was rainy, but that like you were going basically from indoor to outdoor.
oh yeah, I mean, I've basically been a multifaceted grower. I've grown indoors and outdoors to whatever extent.
Yeah.
Largest outdoor being about probably 15,000 square feet of outdoor,
Damn.
which isn't even quite a half an acre. So
Yeah.
going from that to 20 acres, whatever we grew this year was pretty interesting and pretty fun. Very
Yeah.
challenging, very challenging. Not only with the scaling of it itself, but with the climate here in Oregon. Not only the climate of the weather and the environment, but the climate of hemp itself and CBD in the industry.
Yeah,
It's taken a
dude.
very interesting turn itself
Yeah.
these last
There's a couple
so
of people that I'm friends with online that they're always like asking if they know anybody who has this relating to CBD
sure.
and hemp or and it just seems the more I look at those posts, it just seems like the price is just dropping.
It is. I mean, it's like every week you'll see people posting with what they have available or what they're able to process or this and that, and the bottom and dropping out of the entire game. I mean, with the release of the barriers to entry with that farm bill, like I say, I mean, any basically was able to get into it with many large scale farm,
Yeah,
lots
dude,
and
because
lots of
it's
acres.
yeah, and you
With
can
that, there was no sense of real. It became a big kind of quite a lot of them for a lot of others. Quite a
well
success.
it and
Very interesting.
it seems to me, and I haven't really seen any numbers on this. I just want to ask you if
Yeah.
my assumption is wrong. Call me an asshole. Fuck you, John. It's like I don't care. I'll
Right. Right.
take it. I'll stand corrected. But
Sure.
it seems like most people are growing it for like CBD oil, correct? Like, is that what I
Well,
haven't
that's
seen? I haven't
yeah.
seen very many people who are like, we're making hempcrete. You can buy a brick
Well,
for a
that's
dollar or
real.
something.
Yeah. Well, right. And so this year, especially with the brand new, with everyone grabbing into it, everyone's thought was, yeah, CBD uh, oil, or a lot of people were, growing for the flowers and the oil. So, the smokable flowers became quite a focus for a certain number of them. And
Yeah,
ourselves, we separated our tops from the rest of the plant.
yeah,
Kind
you
of
can
have
buy
two
that
different.
shit. You can buy that shit
Yeah,
on Amazon, bro. Like
I
by the
know.
ounce or the joint
Isn't
or
it
whatever.
amazing? Right.
Yeah.
And like a year before that, Amazon would have been like, "What the are you talking about?" Right? I mean, they're like, "You're selling weed on Amazon." A year ago, it meant it was the same thing, or 2 years ago. It was
Yeah.
just, it's so crazy. It's really fun, and it's pretty interesting. So, yeah, 10 years ago, we'd have been going to prison for that amount of a field. So,
Hell
and
yeah,
now, and
bro.
now we're, and now we're like setting up contracts and hemp insurance and all this stuff. It's pretty interesting the way it's going. And I just basically see it as the next step to federal legalization of cannabis all the way.
Yeah. Like that's why I'm glad that I have homies who are taking part in it too, because it's like,
Yeah.
man, I wish I could, but I don't have the resources. It's cool to take a stab at it, you know what I mean? But it
Well,
does seem
there's
like everybody's growing it, like it's
Well, and that's
flooded.
well, it became a real gold rush in a sense this year that everyone had these starry eyes and these figures in the clouds of millions of dollars in one season, one harvest, getting rich off of a few acres, and there's some people that did really well and got in exactly the right time and found exactly the right out, but there's a lot that jumped in. Of, lost a lot too. So, you kind of had both
Yeah.
directions, but there is still, I think, a path for even the small guy, with an acre or a few green, kind of make a product that would separate itself from the larger scale kind of operations. So, yeah, I do think that, if a guy wanted to mess around with it, it wouldn't be I would never discourage it for sure.
No
And
doubt,
say, hey, let's
man.
see if I can go and put up a greenhouse and put out these flowers that are better than anyone around, because they're
Yeah.
growing hundreds of acres and cutting it down with the combine. But I'm treating mine like the best THC flower that I ever grew. So I'm able
Yeah.
to get that premium per pound still from those connoisseurs or those folks that want that type of
Yeah.
situation. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
real nice. Yeah.
That's tight. Okay, so can I ask just some dumbing questions? You can call me an idiot too. Like like you seed everything, right? And you don't cull the males, so there's male and female flowers out.
Well, now, see, that would be more of your, and here's where I kind of forget to get into what you're talking about. You actually segued into the fiber, and I'd like to even expound onto that. So
Okay.
what you're talking about, and kind of the fiber side
So
about,
fiber guys don't
so
cull the
whatever
males.
one's,
Fiber
yeah,
guys
what
don't
we
care.
were, okay, so what is really needing in the industry is to set up to service that fiber side of the industry. It's going to happen. It will happen in the next few years, and a lot of the large scale operations will be so. But right, this last year, everyone did it for the CBD and for the flower and for the oil. And in that case, we're, we're separating males from females and just growing the female flower and growing it like it was cannabis.
Oh, damn.
Anything, because it is, but it's, the genetics are the only difference from a high CBD, low THC, or a low CBD.
So did you run femmed seeds or did you sex
Yes.
everything before you put it?
No. So we ran fem seeds,
Okay.
and we had a fairly good genetic. We did have a few problems with it, being a little unstable. So there was aphrodism in the field. We did a real good job of having our crew trained, so everything got pulled. So we had no seeds.
Tight.
There was some guys that did, like you say, some of the new guys that haven't really been doing this, like we have for years with cannabis, did kind of plant non-feminized seed that they got just hearing, oh, okay, I can do this. People told them these seeds and didn't really follow through with, well, here's what you do. Except
Yeah. So
in this
like,
case, if you were growing for flower. So we had some large-scale farms that were seeded, and that kind of seed can go into the air and affect other farmers and other, actual,
yeah, that was my next
THC.
question
Yeah,
too.
yep.
It was like, was there pollen from other farms or did they banana out and herm like
Well, ours
totally?
ours had about we planted about, okay, I'll take a 10-acre one 10-acre square. We planted about, this year we planted late, so we planted, or this last year we planted a little more. We planted about 35,000,
Damn,
and we had,
35,000 plants?
yeah, and we
Damn,
had and we
damn.
had we ended up having pulled about 3,500 roughly that started showing signs of the banana. So, those bananas, it's not like a
Yeah,
full male. It doesn't pollinate that much, but it does pollinate.
still,
And so
yeah.
we pulled those in the field, and we kind of had to run the field the whole time. There's no getting away from that
So
if you're
10,
running seeds.
10%, 10%. That's pretty good though for 35,000, I'd say.
Yeah, it's still fairly high though, I mean, so, we hope to find or utilize some other genetics. We've found a few this year that we feel are a little more stabilized, a little more focused, homogeneous.
Yeah.
Um, being first year this year, there were a few decisions made before I kind of onboarded, and they did grab a genetic that had, and this is going to be real important in the industry, like you're saying, with seeds that either harm or have problems. The seeds that we got weren't, when I say homogeneous, I mean there was quite a variation in the field as to genetic, the
Really?
cultivars. Yeah, so
Like
we had,
smell and taste even or just
well,
looks?
smell and taste is great. I don't mind having that if everything grows the same, but I'm talking about, we had some that showed autoflower tendencies at,
Damn.
about 2 feet tall, and then some that grew about 7 feet tall, and then as a
Damn.
general, about half of them were just that. So, there was some problems with some of the genetics we had, and it's part of kind of learning, the new, who to deal with and where. So
Yeah.
we found that we now suggest anyone going with seed, most definitely look at the history of the company as well. Some of the
Yeah.
paperwork that nowadays you can get. They should be anyone providing seeds, especially in that quantity, should be providing germination rates, feminization rates,
Yeah.
and some different studies that have been done by these. Anyone working with the university has probably got a good seed bank. So
No doubt. Good
yeah,
recommendation, man. Good recommendation. Cause that I
yeah.
don't know. The stuff that I've read say that the CBD hemp shit is kind of tough to breed because it's just kind of wild in general. Like it's tough to
Well,
narrow
I
shit.
mean, the thing is there's some that's going to be real great to work with if working with some established companies, but if we're buying in the dark and going with, like I say, just random companies that happens to have the cheapest. or this and that, we're probably going to run into problems. So we want to very much do our homework on the purchase of those seeds or those genetics. That's the kind of thing where guys like us that have been through it and kind of established that and found paths to avoiding that do really good to helping out farm.
Yeah.
Offer that too. So,
Well, because that's what I appreciate about you too, dude, is that you openly share knowledge, and a lot of
yeah, you
guys, a
got
lot of guys, a lot of guys don't, and I'm like, dude, where's the community in that?
yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like, what the fuck? Like, that's not cool.
yeah.
You
Well,
know,
we
if you see
yeah
me having
in
an
the old
issue that you've had before,
yeah
sharing with me what your remedy was, is that's just good fucking being a good human, you know? Like, fuck yeah.
right.
I had
And
I had those one time. I used this, it fucking crushed it, you know?
yeah. Well, there's always in the cannabis world. It's been weird. It came up to the dark age, or whatever you call it. You would get a lot of misinformation. I was a few days ago. There'd be so much misinformation in the world of learning that because someone would be known as the best, and they wouldn't. It's beyond them
Oh, your audio's
from
getting a
coming up.
little
It's like the
your
teacher.
audio is getting a little bit choppy, Josh.
So
Your audio is getting a
uh,
little bit choppy. Your
are
audio
you
is
there?
getting a yeah. Can you leave the call and come back?
Do I have to do that?
Yeah, on your end, just leave the call and come back, and then make sure that your camera is off so it's not trying to produce a video feed, and it'll
That's
just
probably
collect the audio.
that's what. Okay, let me try this one.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, give us 1 second. We had a couple of technical difficulties. And Josh will be right back in 1 second. Yo, yo, yo. Josh, can you hear us? I see his square. Make sure that the mic icon is on and the camera icon is off. We can see your oh, there he goes again. We want to get it. Josh, can you hear us?
I can hear you now. Can you
Oh,
hear me?
yes, sir. It sounds a little bit better, man.
All
Okay,
right.
so
Was it
so
bad the whole time?
in not the whole time, the past minute and a half, couple minutes, it started getting choppy. That's why I didn't mean to interrupt you because you were telling a story, you know what I mean?
Right.
You were talking about coming up and just dealing in the dark and trying to find good genetics and I was giving you props for sharing knowledge, you know what I mean? You know,
Sure, sure. Well, it was just, I guess I was just kind of saying it was funny because coming through those times, you know, it would always be that you'd get enough information to make it dangerous, but the guy teaching you always seemed like he had an agenda to keep you from learning as much or being as good. So it
yeah.
was kind of interesting, like you say, that you.
Yeah, dude. Cause
Ah,
I
but nowadays, and I always was against that because that, come on, we want to be, but now especially as we're coming, I mean, he really is trying as possible to survive,
shit, it's getting choppy.
publicize, or
It's getting
it's getting
choppy
hard.
again. It's getting choppy
Oh,
again, Josh. Can you just talk louder, I guess, into the mic? I don't know, man. Like it's
all right, forgive me.
no, it's all good, bro. I dig your stories and I dig what you're saying. I just want the audio to be good for everyone else, you know, when they listen to it. Your experience is invaluable, dude. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that. But,
I,
are you
I
able to hear me now again, or
yeah, yeah, we can hear you now.
okay, perfect. I'm not sure what's going on because I haven't changed.
Yeah, it's all good, dude. It's all good. So, you said like 10% you had to pull that were herming out. You have a new breeder that you're working with for this year,
Yeah, we
and
got actually a couple that we've kind of vetted over, and of course, learned a few hard lessons as far as being very careful with who you work with. But that's really important, and that experience is valuable. You don't
yeah,
repeat yourself. But
yeah,
yeah, for sure. And like I say, I'm glad to help with any farms that think they're needing a little bit of assistance in the department. Well, who do I trust, and why? What am I looking for when I'm buying? Especially when I mean, we're talking about purchases of hundreds of thousands of dollars
yeah.
on
Tons,
seeds alone,
tons, yeah,
tons
tons.
alone. And when you do that, and have it at the mercy of whoever sold them to relation. And we learned and we gathered a few really trusted, safe, I feel,
That's good, man.
resources, genetic resources for you that not only that factor, but there's you want to have genetics that are meant for the area that they're in, or that are raised. If you're growing in, say, Atlanta, Georgia, or something there, it's going to be different than in Kansas City, Missouri, or Portland, Oregon. You're going to have different environmental factors, and you can't basically just say one strain cultivar would be for all that. Selecting genetics is huge,
No
really
doubt.
important. Yeah.
No doubt. So, Josh, is it okay with you? I just texted you the call-in number. If you just want to do a regular call-in from your phone line, is that okay with you since we just have audio
Sure. If it's not working very well on this one, let's do that.
Yeah, it's just going a little bit robotic at the beginning of your sentences, and so
All right.
um
Next time
it's
I'll try
just
to go down near the office, I think about 10 miles from.
oh yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good. We'll just give you like 10, 20 seconds, man. You can just leave this call and just call that 208 number that I just texted.
All right.
All right, thanks, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we just want to make sure the audio is correct. The it didn't seem like the upload speed was fast enough on that Wi-Fi. So when we can just do a call in, everything should be legit, and we can finish the interview in stellar fashion right here on Concerned Dabs podcast. Shout out to my guys in production for being so flexible with the change in formatting for the live stream. Mitchell Wilson and Jesse Curry, those are my guys. And thanks for being adaptable on the fly when we're in the middle of the interview. There he goes right there. You guys get
Call from.
coming through.
Josh.
All right.
To accept, press 1.
Josh, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can. How am I doing
All
now?
right.
Is
Yeah,
that
way
better at
better,
all?
man. Way Yeah, all good, man. All good. So
Okay.
so can you like it you took the leap of faith into hemp farm. What are some of the issues besides herming that you dealt with? Like the weather, I'm sure you said you planted late, so I'm sure it rained like a bitch in September like it always does. And
Oh
then
yeah. I mean,
you got some
Herming is.
dryers.
Yeah. So we dealt with quite a number of factors that are really important and really valuable lessons. We feel we can help other people not make as long as they're willing to listen and reach out. But because we've kind of offered a little bit of consulting in some of our other platforms, but also I'm glad to help answer questions from folks that are just up and coming that may not have necessarily consultation resources. But we learned a lot of things, man. And time, you gotta. One of the most important things is you gotta have time. You gotta plan for things. You gotta,
Yeah.
you really do. You gotta lay your ducks out in a row, and you gotta kind of go by a plan. Now you gotta realize that plans are also, you're dealing with nature and this and that. But
Yeah.
shooting from the hip when you're on a large scale can be very costly, and you end up learning
Yes.
lessons along the way. And in a lot of this industry this year, I mean, we all kind of did that. We all said, okay, we're going to go real big here, and so we're used to a certain type of situation when you're harvesting, right? Okay, we got this that we're always using, and we have this amount of space, and we drive stuff. So
Yeah.
one of the big things was having space when you pull your
Yeah.
harvest to hang everything. If you don't have,
Yeah,
and
man.
if you think you have enough space, you probably should double that. Probably at least.
Yeah.
And we learned that the hard way because we ended up spilling. And I was fortunate that the where I was growing was connected directly to a mill. It was owned by the same folks, and so what we did was we utilized all these kilns and all these tunnels, and all that. We just kind of had to improvise, like I say, along the way. But so we would cover about 3 of these kilns in foam or something, this stuff, and then they
Damn.
would be able to hang dry in it. But what we had a huge building that we actually enclosed and put up a style of hanging,
Did,
with the deer
did you use the
fencing hanging from the
chains,
ceiling.
hanging chains, like plants
Well, we
on
used
chains from the
we
ceiling?
we hung, and this is about probably 25 foot high ceiling. Say the cattle fencing or the deer fencing, whatever you call that metal, the fencing that you put around your field. So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
hung that
yeah.
from the yeah, we hung that from the field, and about the building was, I think it's about 60 by 100 by 30 foot high. So it was a fairly large building, or 25 foot high, excuse me, but pretty large building, and we filled it with hanging situations. We ended up filling that whole thing, and still having to use other buildings in the mill to hang stuff in. So pretty
Damn.
awesome. But so you look at a field and you think you got it. You go, okay, I think I better double it.
Yeah.
That's kind of a funny rule of thumb, but what it is it's just you got to plan. And these fields right now, I
Yeah.
mean, 1,000 acres people have, and a lot of people in Oregon I saw left their stuff on the field because they had no plan, and they just, I mean, it's really, you've heard of a lot of probably the
Yeah.
tragedy and the horror stories of that, but I saw whole crops
Yeah.
rot, you know.
I
Yeah,
saw a few posts like that on IG where people were driving on a highway and video, and it's like a whole
yeah,
field of hemp that didn't get
yeah,
harvested, moldy, brown and
yeah,
black and gray, just
yes,
fucking I was like
yes.
fucking
I,
bummer.
I see that. I see that. Driving up and down 99 and I-5 in this area, we saw some fields this year that I was really impressed with. I was like, my God, these guys have hundreds of acres of just really nice, uniform looking. It looked like whatever seeds or genetics they had were really stable. And then at the end, we saw them rot, and it was just heartbreaking and wondering, all these people knew how to plant, but they didn't have nowhere to go after that, and that was
Yeah,
very
man.
common. So,
That
and
sucks.
I saw some fields actually get pulled and harvested and then laid in big piles, and then those piles rotted. So it was very weird and very very heartbreaking in a lot of ways. This for a lot of guys, and probably spent their whole everything on that. And,
Yeah,
so,
dude.
but along that, I mean, that's kind of what I was saying about the gold rush. Is it's it was really a funny and interesting year. So taking that leap of faith for me has been also very. It's been, well, why don't I say exciting?
Well,
That's
dude,
the
yeah, that
positive way.
scramble
You know.
when the weather
Yeah.
when the weather is shitty and you're scrambling,
Oh
bro.
boy.
Fuck,
Yeah.
there's nothing else matters. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Everybody
Yeah.
thinks you're a fucking
Yeah.
asshole. Everybody's like, damn,
Yeah.
man, don't talk to him. He's a fucking, it's like,
Right.
man, I'm sorry, I'm fucking stressed out, man.
Right.
It,
Right.
it just,
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
The other thing. That's the other thing. Yeah. When that weather turns, man. I mean, it turns, and you're not dealing with a room full of plants anymore. You're dealing with a whole life
yeah.
investment in a certain,
Or
someone's
even
life
just
investment.
10 or 20 plants. That's not the same thing. It's like, this is tons, man. We can literally
Yeah.
lose tons in, you know what I mean? Like, we got to
Tons.
scramble. We got to hurry the fuck up.
Tons. Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so that's the other thing is to make sure you have a crew, and you can afford to pay for a crew if you're on a large scale, because
Fuck yeah,
finding
dude. Fuck
the
yeah.
males. If you don't find the males, you're gonna have seeds, and it's just basically that. I mean, if you don't find the mold, your field's gonna rot. So the guys
No,
that you have on your crew are really important to have on your crew, and they got to be
no
able to
doubt.
cover that field in that amount of time, right? So
No
we were
doubt,
also
man.
fortunate. Yeah, we were also fortunate with us that we were attached to the mill, basically. I mean, in the back 40, if you want to call it. But we had mill employees that were pretty dedicated to the company. And when it came time
Yeah.
to that crunch time, when we said, "Oh boy, the weather's really turning," we were able to reassign some of those guys out to the field. So we got a lot of work done, where we
That's
saw
tight,
some of
man.
our friends. Yeah, and so well, that's also in learning. It's like, boy, if we didn't have that, we'd have really been in trouble, because at that point, the labor in the area was probably all used up by other fields, the guys that could
Y-
pay for it.
Yeah, no
So it was
doubt,
really
dude.
hard to find. It was really hard to find labor at that point in time. So, get your labor laid out ahead of time. Know who you're going to use. Right?
Yeah.
That's huge.
Cause
I mean, that's huge.
yeah. Cause every
Yeah.
year I was an outdoor guy. Every year I had like 5 solid people. I knew they couldn't
Right.
come through for the whole time, but when they could
Yeah.
come through, they'd crush. And they didn't want cash. They just wanted nugs. So just like,
Right.
yeah. So
That's
I'd pay
even
them.
better.
I'd pay them.
That's even better.
Yeah. I'd pay 'em.
Nowadays, farm labor isn't what the old thought of it was, and it's a good
Fuck
thing in a way. I
no,
mean,
man.
guys are getting paid a lot better nowadays, and they should. They're doing good work. But you got to plan for that. You got to be able to keep those guys. I mean, you had 5 guys, and what was your scale? You know, and
Uh,
so and so.
for like 100 plants, you know what I mean?
Right,
Like
exactly. Yeah,
yeah. So
exactly.
yeah, you know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Think about
So
multiplying that 100 by 300,
yeah,
and then you're like, oh
hell
boy.
yeah,
So, so the guys
dude,
really end up. You
yeah.
gotta, you know what I
That's
mean?
why
I
I'm
mean,
glad.
so.
Yeah, scaling up, man. Like that's why I'm glad to ask you these questions because you're
Yeah,
like I've asked other people from hemp farms to come on the show and
sure.
they haven't, and so I
Not
really
yet.
appreciate
Yeah.
you sharing this with me, dude. It's
Oh yeah, for
fuck,
sure.
dude,
It's
because I
there's a
like
lot. There's a lot to learn.
yeah, man,
Lot to be
and
shared.
yeah, and then so like how many people do you like? I don't see anybody online who's give me your stocks and I'll turn them into paper or
So that's
give me
good. I'm glad.
your
Yes, let's. I'm glad you're going back to that. I'm glad you're going back to
yeah
that, because there was so much of that produced this year that you're right. I mean, like even ourselves, we didn't have any outlet for them things. The
yeah
shipping of them would, and so they basically went out back and turned to compost. You know what I mean? They went back to the earth, which
yeah
is okay. That's
yeah
fine. But
it
but think of it industry wide, where half the weight of a lot of these plants got stripped off, or just chewed
yeah
up and sent out back. Where if and this is very important, because all that stuff is some of the um, most useful raw material there is in its form. I mean, you're right.
yeah
Hempcrete, is amazing, and it's basically them stalks ground up with a little bit of, you know, I think it's lye or lime. I'm not the expert on that stuff in water,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
and it
Maybe a little bit
basically
of
lasts
ash, a
hundreds of years. Yeah,
little bit of charcoal
and
or something like that.
well, anyway, and it lasts hundreds of years. I mean, that you can go online and Google hempcrete. They're starting to show it at all the expos now. But no one's.
Yeah,
There's one guy that comes around to the expos, but with that, there's so much room because that stuff lasts longer than concrete. It actually has it's cheaper. Once you get
yeah,
into the large scale production, and no one's set up in the industry yet doing this. I mean, very few people, and a lot of it is transportation. Once you get having to ship these stocks around, it becomes a lot less cost effective. So
yeah. Well, just
here's so
yeah. So someone,
the idea being that someone with the right sense and the right business structure would come in and say, "Wow, okay, either we're a mobile production unit where we drive around to these fields." I'm giving out my ideas, man. No, that's all right.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
anyway,
No, dude. Like I
if so,
appreciate it, man.
it's
Like
gotta
the
no,
vision, the
it's gotta
vision is
happen.
appreciated.
It's gotta happen. It's gotta happen. And anyway, so if a guy were to have a service where he went around to each one of these fields and chopped up their stuff, you could basically get it for next to nothing or free, doing it as a service, taking it away from folks. But you'd
Yeah,
want to actually set it in a certain sense. Makes more sense that everyone wins, and everyone profits a bit. So in large scales, thousands of acres, there's a lot of
yeah.
that to be done. So
And even
basically
like
either setting up
if
shop nearby to process that stuff into usable fiber material, or so setting up locally to the farms is going to be really important so that the shipping routes don't have to be huge to process the stuff.
yeah. Well, cause that's
As a,
you work with the mill too, and in my head, um,
yes,
farming hemp labor and technology wise would still be cheaper than harvesting logs in a fucking forest. You know what I mean? Like,
right, because
all those
logs
semi
take so much
trucks.
longer to grow, and
Yeah,
they're a huge natural resource to our environment. That hemp, you grow in one field 1,000 acres in a year. Even if you just had one harvest in a year in 1,000 acres, you got quite a bit of usable material. Hemp wood is
yeah.
becoming. Look at hemp wood. There's a company making some really nice, flooring panels out of hemp and stuff like that.
Well,
So
dude, yeah, like particle board. It's like I feel like the
yeah,
mill.
yeah,
It's like, yo, can you come up
yeah.
with the right, polymer mix? And it's like let's
Well,
fucking
this is
chop this
where
shit up
I'm
and
at,
make some.
and right, and this is where I'm at with the mill that I'm working with, is like trying to convince them to set up for that. They're still, their mind's still in growing that field for flower, but in reality, as a mill, we're way more equipped to set up locally
Hell
to service
yeah,
all these other guys. Yeah,
hell
and so
yeah, man.
and that's
Even just
longevity.
making
That's
making pulp
longevity.
for paper. Yeah, man.
Yeah, paper.
Pulp for
Paper
paper.
is going to
Pulp
be
for
huge.
paper. Yeah.
Yes, paper is
It's
huge,
like
and
I would spend like $20 or $30 for a notebook, that's college ruled or whatever to write songs in, just because it's made out of hemp. You know what I mean? And especially if it said made from hemp from Oregon, I would be like, fuck, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
heck yeah, man.
100
And
shekels,
I'd love to
$10.
be able to do it so that it wasn't that much money, so that it was comparable with real paper, or not real paper, but tree paper. That way,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have to be the niche. Maybe started out as the niche, but wind it into
Yeah,
where it was
it
direct
will.
competition.
Yeah, dude, that's
Take
what I'm
paper off the
saying. Like
table.
it sucks that everything got so flooded. So it's like we got enough farmers, we need more processors. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
that can
yeah,
make everybody else more money. Because dude, serious. Because like a regular legal ruled fucking notebook costs $3 or $4. I would spend
right.
10 times as much for hemp. But it's like
Wow,
afterwards,
wow.
companies would other mills would they would see those guys are crushing it. We need to fucking make that same shit. You know what I mean? And
Sure,
and then the price would
sure.
dip and it would get more flooded. But dude, everything would even out and there's enough CBD oil, you know what I mean? Like for everyone
Yes.
in the fucking world, I
Yes.
feel like after this
Yep.
year, like
Well, and with
like that
that comes
distillate,
these comes these.
everybody's selling it cheap online. I'm like, holy fuck, dude. You could make
Yeah,
carts
it's
or you
really
could
been
make whatever
coming
you
down.
want for the
It
dirt,
really has.
Like,
So
so
then it
can you
comes
talk
to
about
finding the
that?
niche in that market, and getting that market out to the masses, right? I mean, what happens after we grow this, or why are we planting? That's a big thing. Why are we planting 100 acres of what we're calling hemp this year? Do we have a reason, or are we just doing it because we think we're going to make a bunch of money? Or do we have an exit
Yeah.
strategy? Do we have the field sold? Do we have an aftermarket,
Yeah.
or do we have a end user product that we can get out there that people will really buy? Because if we're just growing huge amounts of hemp flower in the outdoors, well, then we're going to have huge amounts of it back in our inventory that now is we've now
Yeah.
grown a perishable, right? We've now grown a perishable item
Yeah. Yeah.
that we may have grown way more than we thought we had, and we have no way to cure it. I'm generalizing here, in
No,
an
dude,
industry.
it all makes sense,
It's an
bro.
industry.
Preaching to
We've
the
grown
choir.
way more than we normally cure, so now we've got it in a situation where it's going to degrade a little more, maybe faster. We've got super sacks, and we've got warehouses and warehouse racks full of these items across the country. Flour and biomass being the two main things, and then we've got quite a bit of oil being processed, like you say, out of this. And then where
Yeah.
does it
So
go from there? Where does it go from there? Well, we're seeing lotions. You're seeing all the CBD products, and there's a huge amount of them, right?
yeah, that's man,
That's kind
yeah,
of what.
segue into the kiosk, bro. Like but before
Well,
you
absolutely,
start
right?
talking, like
So then how?
I want to tell
Yeah.
my story first. But I'm down here in Phoenix. My neighbor owns the convenience store at my apartment, so like we hang
All right.
out and we smoke sometimes. And
Yeah.
he has pipes under the counter, right? Like little
Sure.
China glass pipes. I went in there and I was
Sure.
like, bro, my bong stem broke, and I show it to him and I was like, do you have any shit like this, or do you have access? And he's like, come to the store with me. So I went to the retailer supplier store, and fuck, dude,
Sure.
there was I wish I brought $100 for backwoods because they were so fucking cheap, dude, for a case. I was just like, God damn
Yeah.
it, man. And I brought $20 because all I needed was some bong stems, you know what I mean? So I'm like,
Right.
but looking around that store, dude, they had a whole wall that was like 20 feet by 40 feet that was all CBD products, like
Wow.
gummies,
Right.
like all kind of different
Wow.
brands, all different kind of
Right.
names, packaging, different milligrams, this and
Amazing.
that. And it was like
Yeah.
you could buy them for the dirt and sell them in your store, whatever kind of store you had. You know what I mean? It just
Absolutely. Absolutely. And now that's great. That's a cannabis product on the shelves
yeah.
nationwide. So, and really, once you get into that, it's still being formulated, but there's the ability to sell that basically nationwide. They can't really deny that you can sell that in a grocery store now or anywhere. So,
Yeah.
you're starting to see a whole big interest from the public. It's projected CBD. What was it last year? $7 billion. I don't even know the figures off the top of my head. I could click here on the internet, but it's supposed to be a $22 billion industry by 2022. That's huge,
Fuck.
man. That's a huge market that's still wide open for folks to come in there and find their way through it. Maybe the big
Yeah.
get rich schemes, in the early on, maybe not. Let me rephrase that. Getting rich off the initial, field. That's kind of happened, but now the thing is the industry is wide open for players to come in and make a niche for themselves and stand out a little bit. And
Yeah.
so with that comes elegant packaging of products and focus and direction and marketing on where those products go, and who sees them and how they see them. And why. And so with that, you know, and as we kind of had the title of the show today, the
Yeah.
automation in retail, where we kind of have partnered with manufacturer of some. They were doing a lot of video kiosks, and they had a whole line in Mexico that kind of was competing with Redbox, and they took the Redbox market down in Mexico. Well, they kind of saw this early on too. Or, wow, okay, we've got this ability and this way to get and for people to see us and get ourselves into all these locations. What can we do
Yeah.
with that, and how can we service this up and coming industry? And they said, well, I mean, CBD products are generally certain size, and they have a certain appeal, and also there's a certain dollar value attached to them that's a little bit higher than a lot of things on the shelf. So they said, well, we could take these kiosks and make them, customize them for holding CBD type products, and not only could they hold the products, but we have these interactive ability to educate. There's screens on these things. They're fully customizable to whatever is being done, whatever's being added inventory wise. They really draw in people. I mean, you have it, and it's flashing, these screens with all this product information, elegantly
No
placed
doubt.
items placed in these kiosks based on where the kiosks are placed, not just randomly throwing stuff around. So I mean, with the fact that there is, like you say, there's a huge wall of CBD products, and there's a vast
Yeah.
range. So you place a kiosk in a health or a fitness establishment, or Planet Fitness or whatever you want to say, you're going to have a certain
Yeah.
you can have lotions and creams and all the CBD products that kind of appeal to the sporting guys, or the sporting gals, the sporting
Yeah.
world. Where if you
Yeah.
place it,
Gummies
down in,
gummies for the girls. Girls dig the gummies.
and gummies and this and that. Whereas if you place one of these things down on Fremont Street in Las Vegas, which then you're going to have it full of kind of pre rolls or different things. Also gummies, but you'll be appealing to the area. We place them according to what's there. You place them in a bar. They're going to have
Yeah.
CBD pre rolls because people are going to want to kind of engage in that.
Well
But there's
well
all sorts of
dude,
different abilities to place different products. Mostly our focus is in the health and fitness focus right now. Is there's a lot of people buying it for their body and their body
well
pains and their body.
dude, yeah. Man, I
Yeah,
think that if you can source those products from your farm and have the retail
yes.
kiosk set up, like you'll fucking be winning, dude. Cause like when
See
people
how that
ask me
see
about
how that kind
CBD
of ties in
products,
together, right? Right.
yeah, dude, you
You see my
vertically.
vision
I'm
there. I mean, you
integrated
can kind of
vertically.
share it,
Y'all
and not
fuckers
only
look.
that, not only
Yeah.
my farm, because we're going to produce whatever we produce from my farm, but from this network of people and companies that I've gathered over my experience, to where I really back what they're doing. And so not only would it be my farm, but it would be and it would be structured by location of the kiosk, but also
He,
from my network, or this network that we've created of people that we really stand behind their product, and we'd like to see that pushed to the next level.
yeah.
So yes, we could put we could put Coke in a Coke machine, but that's not really what we're doing. We'd rather put
Nah.
your local microbrewed Coke in that machine, where those same
Yeah.
people, and
Well,
that
cause
would really, it's kind of a circular, you know um, a circular kind of event there, where you're not only placing products, but you're kind of helping to you know well help, I guess. It's an interesting
yeah,
way to look at it.
man.
But
Yeah,
so
spiraled
yeah,
out. But like that's the thing I wanted to add was that when people they're like, you know a lot about weed, like what's up with all the CBD shit? What should I buy? And
right.
my question to the people selling it to me would be like, where was this CBD sourced? You know what I mean? And if they can't answer
Sure.
that question, then I really wouldn't trust it. You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
you
Right.
don't
And that's
know.
where
Like, what do you mean?
that's
Like, it doesn't say on the package. If it doesn't say on
right.
the package, then what the fuck am I supposed to trust here? Like, there
Well,
could
and
be
with
no
one of these,
CBD in here at all.
and that's what's kind of interesting about these kiosks also, is that, okay, it's kind of, you say, oh, it's kind of, it's a robot or it's a machine that I'm kind of, but it's programmed to kind of take that place and give you any information. So not only will we have that product, but every product will have its own story and its own background, and it's all projected through those interactive, those screens in that kiosk where they're touch screens, and we could go as deep as we want with the product and see every marketing tool that can be used with that. The backstory is huge, and where the product is sourced from, and the testing, and that's all in there.
Yeah, because
So,
that's one thing I didn't see on that wall of products was there was no. I looked at like 10 of them. I was like, oh my god. And my homie was
right.
like, "You trying to buy that shit?" I was like, "Nah, I just want to look at the packaging." You know what I mean?
Right, because
It would
maybe that's from
say,
China, maybe that's from India, maybe that's from who knows,
"Yeah,
right? But and there's
yeah,
nowhere that really gives that back. But you go to one of these kiosks and you say, okay, I'll pick this flower or this whatever I'm putting in my body or on my body, right? And you'll trace it
yeah,
all the way back through blockchain. You could trace it. We could even set it up to trace it all the way back to its source, or that's a lot. That's pretty in deep for people. But as long as they can hear a backstory and see that it's not
well,
your
dude,
generic
and
gas
and
station. And that way you
and
can go
and
into the gas stations and separate yourself from the gas station brands and say, look,
yeah,
and
it's
so
like even
you
if
put
you
one of these
could
kiosks.
there's live footage of the field 1 week
Yes,
before harvest. It's like, you know what
yes,
I mean? And
yep,
and you can
right,
see that on the kiosk. There's 20 or
yep,
30 seconds of that and then there's
sure,
20 or 30
yep,
seconds of the harvest. You know what I mean? You could edit
absolutely,
content to just be like, yo, dude, and it's
yes,
from this place. Cause
fully,
cause that's the
fully,
thing. The thing I love about Five Guys, bro, like their burgers are fire, but every time I go in there, it says where
yeah,
the potatoes that they're making their
yeah.
French fries from were grown
Isn't
and
that
what the
cool?
farm name is and what town. And it's usually Pasco, Washington. And I'm like, fuck yeah. I
Nice.
went to school in Kennewick for a semester in high school. My auntie lived out there.
That's great.
I
That's
got
great.
fam in Hermiston, but I love that about their restaurant is they say where this product was sourced from, and
I
you can
like it.
look that
Yeah.
farm up, and it's not they don't usually have an IG or anything, but it's like they have a business listing in that county that's like, no, it's a legit farm. That's where it came from. If I'm sure you could call them if you wanted to buy potatoes,
Right. Well,
and
that's great.
and
That's
and
awesome.
so
Yeah.
sourcing the like doing that with CBD products, bro. I think that would be the shit, dude. Like,
It's great.
fuck
I think
no.
it's an amazing opportunity, and I just think that now is about the right time that this starts happening. This thing. I mean, I think this CBD thing is going to be a good path for those that want to have a good wherewithal. Create a good little niche for themselves. Find a good environment that you can grow, and you know don't give up for sure. I mean, it's a hard year, but
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
no doubt, man, no doubt. Um,
Yeah.
so like, shit, dude, we still got like 5 minutes. If you want to go over, that's cool. Like, what else do you want to talk about, man? Like, I feel
Well,
like that's a good
I,
message because I'm moving to Spokane in like 3 weeks, bro. I'm throw
oh,
a tent
nice,
up in
nice.
the garage at my girl's house and just be
What I
happy
can
going
say is,
on.
if we want, we could recruit folks in the audience. If folks want to make a few bucks and help us place some of these uh, these kiosks, man, there's opportunities nationwide to place these things, and there's, we get people signed up and potentially placing these things around the country, then we could maybe have a pretty good outreach. So, if folks are interested, there's always that possibility they could get on the team, and let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, what's going
Yeah,
on? Up in Washington, I'm sure there's a
yeah.
million
I'll
places
I'll
that.
I'll hit. I'll holler at you, bro. I'll make some
Yeah,
moves when
there
I
you go.
get there, cause I'm gonna just transfer work for Lyft and drive people around, but I still want to be
Right,
cannabis involved. It's
right.
like, dude, it is. It just sounds like a winner, and then eventually in the future too, even just for regular cannabis. I understand
Well,
now it's a new market, and people when they go to a retail location, they want information about the product. But like most of the time, I like hearing the bud tender spiel because I've been a bud tender and
sure,
I dig
sure,
salesmanship. There's an art to it, but most time I know
absolutely.
what the fuck I want and I'd rather not have to deal with the time involved
Well,
with
and here
interaction.
you go with
You you,
another with
you
the.
know,
Here's another. Yeah, here's another. Didn't mean to interrupt you. Here's another good
no, that's
idea
all good.
in placing these kiosks is in these dispensaries. Um, you know, and most of the focus on the bud tenders education is on the THC side of things, and
Yes.
most of the sales are directed at that. Now, you want to create a little bit of a sales draw with CBD, but not have to devote the bud tender energy. You put one of these
Yes.
kiosks inside your dispensary. These things are customizable. I mean, in
Yeah.
you could put your dispensary name on the side of the wrap. It doesn't, the wrap is just a wrap. It's fully
Well,
white labelable,
dude.
inside and out. So, but with that, you could fill it with your CBD products and your products that people just know what the fuck they want. Like you're saying, they come in
Yeah,
there,
cuz
they don't want to, they don't
yeah,
want to engage, they don't need to engage the bud tender, and you
they're
have a
gonna
flow right
they're
to
gonna
that
st-
machine and back while the
yeah.
bud tenders do their thing over here. So,
Well,
you
because
know, uh,
there, especially with rec, no matter which state I go to, there's always a line, you know what I mean? And the
yeah,
line is to sit
yep.
there and talk to someone and ask them questions and it fucking takes forever. So it's like if you
Well, and these things, I'm
another
sure that,
another
yeah,
option besides that line to just go to this machine and touch the fucking screen
yep.
and grab what the fuck you want and put your fucking cash in,
Well,
like,
and
dude, I would
these
much
things
rather
have
do that, like
full age
seriously.
verification in them as well. So it's you have to enter your ID, and it's yeah. I think it also prevents theft. I mean, bro, these things are amazing. So I will have to get off at 9, but let's just
Oh
leave it
yeah,
at
it's cool.
that. Yep. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, no, it's cool, dude. Like, finish what you're. It prevents theft too, because like that's another thing is employee theft is a fucking real thing at a retail place. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yep.
It's
Oh yeah.
you're
Well, these.
hiring you're hiring. It's not your homie that you grew up with. It's someone that you hired off of Craigslist or Indeed. You know what I mean? So
Right, for
it,
sure.
it,
Well, these things prevent employee theft. They prevent theft from any outside. I don't know if you've gone into like Kroger or Fred Meyer's and seen their little displays they have of CBD products where they have thousands of dollars of product in a little area, and some of it's locked up, some of it's not, and you see it kind of like spread out and scattered, and no real information about it. It's just on the shelf. You got
no,
a $50 lotion that's sitting there on the shelf with no real explanation as to why it should be $50 or where it's from, and
yeah,
so and in that case, it's inviting theft. I've seen some areas in the Fred Meyer stores up here that have this little cardboard display with thousands of dollars of CBD products on them, and you're going, I know someone's pocketing some of that. I know someone's just
yeah,
walking by and seeing that price tag and going, well, I'm going to take that because it's a $70 product. Well, you can't do that with this machine. That's like trying to steal a movie from the red box or something. I mean, how are you going to do it? You have to enter your credit
yeah,
card or whatever and get the thing out of there. So
no
so these things
doubt,
will
no
verify
doubt.
your age. They won't allow theft. Um, they'll draw in the public just walking by. Put a couple of them in an airport, or in a bus mall, in a bus station, wrapped with your
Yeah.
dispensary name, selling, you know, you know, whatever your dispensary
Well,
name is,
well,
CBD flower
dude,
and product. and then directing them
even
to your
just
location, your
yeah,
brick and mortar location. And so
just
it's kind of
picture
interesting.
like all you, if you had a brick and mortar location, you would just need a front desk person, and that you know what I
Or
mean?
that,
And it's like
well,
what
there,
and whatever
yeah,
you just and then a restock person at night. Once business is
sure,
closed, whatever
sure,
was sold out of the machines, a person comes in at night and restocks it, and then we have the
sure.
front desk person
Well,
do it.
and these things give a full inventory to the app. It's called Kiosk app or Kiosk Canopy. Anyway, every 5 seconds, it's given a readout of the RFID and of the inventory that's in there, so real time when it needs to be loaded as well.
No
So.
doubt. Fuck yeah, dude. See, that's tight, Josh. I'm glad you were, and it didn't sound like a sales spiel, really. It's like I'm generally interested in it. It's dope to hear these
For
stories
sure, for
about
sure.
it.
Well,
And dude,
I'd love to talk more about it and all that, and give you some info.
yeah,
If
same, dude. Yeah,
anyone across
hit
the
him
country
up.
is willing to shoot you questions or shoot me questions, we can share my email if you'd like. To Josh at
Yeah, man,
Cannabis
shoot it
Distro.
out there. Josh, Josh at Canna Bros Distro. That's CANNABROSDISTRO.com.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And my website's about to go live a couple more days. Of course, I'm not a web designer, but we'll have
Yeah,
the
man.
Cannabis website up. It's kind of rough right now, but got a couple of guys with some ideas working on it to get it a little more sparkly and shiny.
No
But
doubt, no
yeah,
doubt.
man, I really appreciate you having me on there, Katie. And man, we'll do it again really soon. Let's not wait a year this time, eh?
Yeah, no doubt, dude. Like that's I know it's gonna get busy for you, but it would be cool to hit you up like around May or June or something, right when you're about to
Anytime,
plant, and
anytime.
it's
You don't even have to
yeah,
wait that long if you don't want. If you got a need or a slot open, man,
ye-
call me up because got a
yeah.
lot more to
Cause
say.
even if it's just your opinion on a certain shit that's trending, you know what I
Sure,
mean? Like, oh
sure,
fuck, they're
absolutely.
making everything illegal again. Like, like can't you? It,
Right.
I dig talking to you about ganj in general, bro. So it's
And
I appreciate
likewise, man, for sure. So
I
just
I
kind of having you in
appreciate
the
you.
same city.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I'll be in Spokane, and I got a child in Portland, so I'll be out there hopefully once a month, dude. So hopefully we can link
Well,
up
let me know. Let me
a
know when
few
you're in
more
Portland
times.
area. I'll make a trip up. We're a couple hours south now, but I'll definitely come see you. Or you can
Yeah,
come
no
down
doubt.
here
Cause
either way.
yeah, I plan to, cause I got other homies I want to link with in Eugene and stuff too. So
Okay,
I
well, for
will,
sure, we'll
man.
see you here then. Anyway, man,
Yeah,
yes,
no
that sounds great. I really appreciate you
okay.
guys having me on tonight, man. And don't wait so long next time to ask me again. Oh, I think I missed the last one, didn't I?
Yeah, you're busy at the
We didn't even
time.
get to
It's
that.
all good. Yeah, it's all good, man. I appreciate you coming on again, man. So we'll hit you up in a
For
few
sure.
months and have you back. Ask you what you're working on, and I'll definitely hit you up off the air for some of that CBD kiosk action, bro. For real.
Absolutely, we'll do, man. We'll be in touch.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna
Right
go
on, my
ahead and
brother.
do
Be
my
real.
outro. Yeah, you too. I'm gonna do my outro dance, ladies and gentlemen. This was the 44th episode of Concerned Dabs podcast. I was your host, Katie M. Kane. Our guest tonight was Josh Mossberg Galbraith from Cannabis Distro. He's got that CBD kiosk
Yeah.
action. Holler at him, Josh at cannabrosdistro.com. I got to give a shout out to my guys in production, Mitchell Wilson and Jesse Kirk. This has been a Main Node and Joseph Street Enterprise production.